tenderness. I'm going to palpate her lymph nodes, her preauricular, postauricular, occipital, tonsillar, submandibular, submental, anterior cervical, posterior cervical, supraclavicular. I'm going to palpate for her TMJ, so open and close your mouth. Okay? Palpating for any subluxation, crepitus, or tenderness. I'm going to palpate her maxillary and frontal sinuses. Okay? Now I'm going to move on to cranial nerve number 5, which is the trigeminal nerve. I'm going to assess for her motor function. So I'm going to have you cranial nerve 5. I'm going to start with the sensory portion. So close your eyes. Just say yes when you feel this.
Yes, 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 yes.
Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to feel her masseter muscle clench down. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to test cranial nerve number 7, which is the facial nerve. So I'm going to have you smile, frown, raise your eyebrows up, blowfish face, and a kissy face. Okay, perfect. And then I'm going to go ahead and assess cranial nerve number 8, which is the vestibulocochlear nerve. I'm assessing for her hearing. Actually, before I do that, I'm going to inspect her ears, palpating her pinnae and her tragus for any masses or tenderness. And then I'm going to look in her external auditory ear canal. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to assess cranial nerve number 8, which is the vestibulocochlear nerve. I'm assessing her hearing. So I'm just going to have you repeat after me.
50.
Okay.
48.
Perfect. All right, now I'm going to perform the Weber test, which is assessing for lateralization. So tell me if you hear this more on the right, left, or equally bilaterally.
Equally.
Perfect. And now I'm going to test. I'm going to ensure that her air conduction is greater than bone conduction with a Rene test. So tell me if you hear this more on number 1 or number 2. 1, 2. Okay. 1, 2. Her eyes. So I'm inspecting her eyes, making sure that there's no lesions, discharge. I'm looking at her eyelashes, her eyebrows, her sclera, which is white, her conjunctiva, which is pink and moist. I'm going to start by testing her vision. So I'm going to have you hold this chart out, cover one eye, read the lowest line.
LTFPH.
Perfect. Do that same with the other eye.
LTFPH.
Okay, perfect. Okay, now I'm going to assess her pupils. So, look at me. Okay, so they did respond to direct and consensual light. I'm going to assess her retina. So, assessing her red reflexes, looking at the internal structures. My wheel is on 0. Just look straight ahead. Now I'm going to assess cranial nerve number 3, which is the oculomotor, cranial nerve number 4, which is the trochlear, cranial nerve number 6, which is the abducens. I'm testing extraocular movement, so just follow this with just your eyes. Okay. Now I'm going to assess her nose, making sure that it's midline symmetrical. I'm going to assess her for nasal patency. So I want you to just close your eyes, plug on your nostrils, and breathe in, breathe out. Okay? And now I want you to tell me what you smell.
Coffee.
Okay? This is the olfactory nerve, cranial nerve number 1. Plug the other nostril. Okay. Same thing over there. Breathe in, breathe out. Now tell me what you smell.
Okay.
Okay, awesome. Okay. And now I'm going to have you say, ah. Okay, I'm testing cranial nerve number 9, which is the glossopharyngeal. I'm making sure that her uvular and her soft palate rise symmetrically, which they do. And then I'm going to test cranial nerve number 10, which is her vagus nerve, so I'm going to have you swallow. Okay, awesome. Now I'm going to assess cranial nerve number 12, which is the hypoglossal nerve. So stick your tongue out. Okay, her tongue is symmetrical. There's no signs of fasciculations. Now I'm going to assess her neck. So I'm going to palpate her trachea to ensure that it is midline. It is. Now I'm going to assess her thyroid. So I'm going to have you look to the left. Look all the way to the left. And I'm palpating her thyroid. Now to look to the right. Okay. Okay. And now I'm going to palpate her carotid pulse. All right, moving on. I'm going to go ahead and start with her posterior chest. I'm going to have you stand up and turn around, face the front, face the wall. Yep. So I'm going to start by inspecting. I'm looking for any signs of respiratory distress. So refractory breathing, use of accessory muscles, tachypnea, nasal flaring, cyanosis, which she has no signs of. I'm going to start by palpating. So I'm going to have you say 99.
99.
Okay, now I'm going to percuss. And now I'm going to auscultate. So I'm going to start by auscultating her posterior. So you'll just take a deep breath. I'm making sure to listen to her right middle lobe. Okay, now I'm going to test for egophony. So every time you feel my stethoscope, I just want you to say E. Okay, now I'm going to test for bronchophony. So when you feel my stethoscope, I want you to say 99.
99.
Okay, now I'm going to test for whisper pectriloquy. So when you feel my stethoscope, I want you to say 1, 2, 3.
1, 2, 3.
Perfect. So while I'm back here, I'm going to go ahead and assess for CVA tenderness. I'm looking at her percussing her costovertebral angle. So I'm going to just tell me if you feel any pain, okay?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So you can go ahead and stand up and turn around and face the front. Okay, so with the same thing with, you can go ahead and have a seat. Her anterior chest, looking for any deformities, looking for symmetry, any signs of respiratory distress. I'm actually going to start by percussing, so say 99.
99.
Okay, now I'm going to auscultate. Just deep breathe in. Moving on, I'm going to go ahead and do her cardiac exam. So I'm going to go ahead and start by listening to auscultating her cardiac points. I'm going to start with the aortic. So that's the right second intercostal space, right sternal border. Pulmonic, second intercostal space, left sternal border. Erb's point, third intercostal space, left sternal border. Pulmonic, fourth intercostal space, left sternal border. Mitral, fifth intercostal space, mid-clavicular line. While I'm at the mitral, I'm going to listen for an apical pulse for 1 full minute. I'm also going to inspect and palpate for PMI. I'm going to do the same thing with the Belmont stethoscope, aortic, pulmonic, Erb's point,